It's Sessions at AOL. I'm Chris Doritas with Josh Groban, David Foster. This is really the first time, I guess, you guys have been back into a recording studio since you made the record, right?
Yeah, actually it is. It's great because we've listened to it a lot now this last 6 to 8 months, and now it's really fun to come in and do an acoustic version of these songs.
I would rather be in the studio doing new stuff, to tell you the truth, because before we know it, we're going to be needing a new album. So
Very soon.
I want to go back to the first point in time where you heard Josh's voice, David, for the very first time. If you could just take us through that realization, that discovery that you...
Sure. I heard a tape from a vocal coach named Seth Riggs, and he sent me a bunch of different tapes of about 4 or 5 singers, and this tape stuck out like a sore thumb. It was just so incredible, and then when I found out how old he was, 17, it was more amazing, and we were looking for somebody to rehearse with Celine Dion. Was that right? Is that why I was looking for a tape?
Yeah. Well, no, you were looking for somebody to sing at the Governor Gray Davis' inauguration concert.
Right. Okay. So when you came over,
yeah,
there was another singer there. Do you remember? Wasn't he? That's the first time or the second time? Because I don't want to mention the singer, but
there was somebody else there.
Okay, so it was either the first or second time. No. But the thing is, and he's a great singer too. And I kept saying, "Isn't he great?" And the singer was going, sort of, because the thing is, he was 17 and he was killing, right? And the other singer's name is? No, I'll never tell you. But it was an amazing moment for me to see this young man come into my studio and just open his mouth and
Yeah, it was amazing for me because I'd never had somebody say, here, come into my studio and sing for me. So it was something that I'd always wanted to do, and it was great to finally have that opportunity.
Yeah, put it into perspective for us, David. How often does that come along? Those moments of discovery like that?
Well, there's a top 10 every week, and there's a top 100 every week, and it's filled by people that are just starting and people that have been around for a long time. But in a personal way, it doesn't happen to me every day. It doesn't happen to me every year. Mm-hmm. And I liken it to when I first was first exposed to Celine Dion. And I was with her since the beginning of her English career. And when I heard her open her mouth for the first time, and actually Umberto Gatica, who's engineering the session and co-producing it, he was with me when we first heard Celine Dion. And he said, we went crazy. He was with me the first time we heard Josh. So I'm sticking close to him too, because he has great taste too. But when you hear a voice like Josh's or Celine's, it's kind of a no-brainer. You'd have to be kind of an idiot not to know that it was great.
Yeah. We were talking a bit ago about another side of music that you're into that we're not really hearing on the album,
no.
Which really begs the question, how...
Why not?
Right. All right, this interview's over.
Yeah.
Really, it's there was a time, though, where you had to figure out what you were going to do with Josh and his voice and how to position it and, what was the right first move. How did you get to that point?
Well, the kind of voice that I have and the kind of music that I'm best suited to singing is very, very different than the kind of music I listen to for my own entertainment. So there was kind of that balancing act of how far do we go with one or the other, because a lot of my influences are pop and rock as well as classical, but singing, it's just the voice that I have. So I think,
what bad luck, huh?
Yeah. What am I going to do?
How many rock bands did you audition for?
He does a great Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
No. I played drums in a couple of rock bands. That's how I got my rock kicks off. But I think the first thing we did was the first song that we listened to was Jura Colme, and we kind of sat down, and David called me at about 10 o'clock and said, "Come on down and listen to this." It was a song that he and Walter Afanasieff wrote, and I sat and I listened to it, and immediately we just said, "This is it. This is the direction. It has a little bit of everything." And it was just, we raised the bar really high that night, and that's why it took a long time to find the right songs after that, because we knew we wanted something that special in every track.
Yeah, the all-Italian direction didn't sit right with either one of you at one point. Right?
Well, I think eventually we talked about it, and it was very important to me that we did stuff, that didn't limit me just simply to Italian music. I wanted to sing songs that people in my own country would understand, and but they had to be the right songs. So I wanted something that used the English that I wanted to sing in, but also had the same feeling that David wanted in those Italian songs. So yeah, I mean, the English songs on the CD are the ones that we felt were the right ones to do.
Do you speak any foreign languages?
Not fluently. Well, I took Japanese for 3 years.
There you go. Some Japanese songs on the next record?
What do you know? Anything?
No songs in Japanese, but you never know. I'll be there soon.
Sukiyaki.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know them fluently, but just as if you were learning, an aria or an opera, I know each word fluently that I'm singing, so I know exactly what I'm singing about, and I made sure that each song that I did in another language had a lot of study behind it. So in that regard, yeah, but it'll take years and visiting these countries many times to get it really fully.
So are you thinking already about the next album and where that's going to take you?
Well, he's not, but I am.
I am. There's so much going on right now. I'm having a blast, performing these songs live for an audience for the first time, and I've got a lot of that to do in the next year. And we're just this album is still very, very new to the world right now. So I can't wait to give my full energy into showing it to people as I had for recording it. So yeah, I mean, he of course is always thinking about the next CD, and when I have some time to sit down, I think about the next CD.
It's an interesting transformation because things have happened so fast for Josh that we do have to think about the next album. But what happens is they get an artist gets so busy because the success factor kicks in so heavily, and they're here and they're in China and then they're in Europe and then they're flying to New Zealand and they're just beat. But when we were working on the first album, he had absolutely nothing else to do except come to the studio every day, get us coffee, and say, I like it, I don't, and just immerse himself in this album that he immersed in, that he did so well. Now it's going to be like we're going to just have to grab moments.
Right.
And that's going to be very, very difficult and probably ultimately, it's going to be harder on both of us, I think.
Well, there's another transition that went on, too, because you come across as a pretty shy guy, Josh. And I would imagine that just getting accustomed to having all this attention focused on you and being in front of the microphones and in front of huge audiences. I mean, the Olympics is what, 1 billion people?
About that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to beat that size of an audience.
Sure. It's everything is a new experience because I'm just new, period. So yeah, of course, it's nerve-wracking, and I'm not the most outgoing person when it comes to there's a camera. How are you? I'm not that kind of a person. So
do it again.
Yeah.
Even during the mix, I mean, we're listening to the playback, and he was wanting his vocal to be pushed down a little more.
I can't. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's feeling like there's too much of me anywhere, whether it's on tape or on video or on recording.
Which is why we don't let him come to the mix,
right? Because I want to. It's hard for me to listen to myself. It's hard for me to watch myself because I'm hypercritical to anything that I ever do. So yeah, I mean, that's why I have a producer and a mixer and a sound engineer. So because they take what I've given and they know how to make it right. So
yeah, I've seen often that you referred to yourself as a tenor in training because really you're a baritone now, essentially, right? Yeah. And that's something that baritones generally aspire to become.
Sure. Yeah, I think most of the top tenors right now were baritones at my age, and all the voice teachers that I've gone to have said you're going to be a tenor, but just don't push it right now. So I hope to have a long career, and I hope to definitely sing in those arias and those great tenor roles one day. But at the moment, I'm just singing songs that are comfortable for me and that I feel I can do best of my ability. And so I definitely look at myself as absolutely still in training because I'm young and I've got a lot of training ahead of me.
How do you make that transition?
You just, for me at least, you do what you can do at that moment. You don't ever, try to be hero with any of these things. You take it one day at a time, and I'm constantly in training, and so I feel like vocally I've changed in the last 5 months, let alone the last year. So I'm fully confident that in the next year I'll be looking back at this CD and saying, wow,
There's a lot of good, a lot of interesting collaborations on this record.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about any that might be in the works for the next record?
For the next CD, we can always fantasize about who might possibly want to collaborate.
Well, the landscape has changed for sure.
Since there are a lot more opportunities for me now, since the album's doing so well, and since we have so many different things we could try on the next CD. It's important not to lose track of what was so important about the first CD, and not to take too many more risks. You know, we want to make something that you know we did it right.
We don't want to overthink it.
We don't want to
that's all.
overthink it.
But at the same time, he will have more say in this record because he's obviously made some right suggestions for the last CD, and this is his career, and it's his face on the album, not mine. So
Following his instincts is
absolutely.
Yeah. Do you do anything special to take care of your voice? Do you?
Sure. I mean, I take voice lessons, and I make sure that I don't. You know, there's a lot of discipline involved in having a career where you know your singing voice is under a microscope all the time, and that includes obviously no drinking, no smoking, I sometimes I can't go out with friends because I know it's going to be in a really loud, smoky place. I know I have to sing on a TV show in a few days, so it's hard.
Now, I went online just before coming down to the studio today, and I learned all about the Grobanites.
Oh my!
And Grobania.
You're out there.
I mean, isn't this amazing that there's this whole population online?
And they found each other.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Which is, tell me about Florida. Was it amazing?
I was just in Florida, and I did a radio promo thing, and a group of the fans from the website came down to meet, and I came in surprised and said hello, and got to talk to them for a little while, and but they said, I said, well, how long have you guys known each other? They said, well, we talked online, but we all just met today, and they were best friends that day, and the night before they went out and they had dinner, and I think it's just amazing that these people with from all over the country are flying together and becoming friends.
Does this happen with other artists?
I've never seen anything like it.
Does it?
I think Queen and Star Trek, but other than that,
Queen and Star Trek.
So you're going to be going to conventions every year?
No, definitely
the
not.
Groban?
30 years from now,
please,
man.
don't take it that far. Yeah,
Be 3 people out there.
exactly.
I remember Florida 30 years
Exactly.
ago.
Who remembers this one?
But tell us why you landed on this song for the record.
The one song that I felt like I could communicate best, and the one that I felt I had the most attachment to was Vincent, the Don McLean song. So yeah, and we wanted to completely respect what he had already done with it, and we got his blessing to do it, and so we made our little version of it.
You got his blessing to do it? Because you don't really need to do that when you cover a song, right?
It was important.
Yeah, it was important for Josh, and I tracked Don down, and of course he didn't really know who I was. He knew who Josh was, but not me. No, he didn't really know anything, and I think Brian helped us track him down, and I just said, hey, we've done your song, and we're like, what does he care? I mean, a million people have done his songs.
Right.
But we sent it to him, and now he's sending me his new material. He wants me to, work with him, and he's a Grobanite. He's a big Josh fan, and he loves what he did with the song.
And it was very, very important to me that I did something that he wouldn't, go tell all his friends, I can't believe this guy did this. I wanted him to really, really like it, and I'm glad he did.
And so you don't know this yet, but we're doing American Pie.
Fantastic. Good. William Orbit's going to put some...
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for joining us. And,
this has really been great for us to do these songs again in a kind of unplugged way.
Yeah, and we're going to hear this.
Yeah, and for this audience, this audience has been, the internet audience has been just the kind of the guiding light in making this successful. So this is great to do this.
Yeah, and thanks, David, for piecing together the small orchestra.
I'd just like to say thanks to AOL. I think this is very cool, and you guys are leading the way, and we're happy to be bringing this to you in this way.
Thanks so much. Josh Groban, David Foster, it's Sessions at AOL.